What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about some potential UFAs walking away from the Toronto Maple Leafs, some potential free agents that are walking away from the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe for all the newest Leafs content, for podcasts, videos, whatever you guys want. I take recommendations down below, so please leave those down below. We're just going to be talking Leafs. I've been busy the last few days, so that's why there hasn't been any uploads, but I did post 3 really good videos, so make sure to go check those out. They're from like a week or week and a half ago, some really good info in there. But today we're going to be talking about some free agents and seeing whether or not they'll leave. And I know it's a little bit early to be talking about that, but we're inching closer and closer to those things. At the time you're watching this, the Stanley Cup could be over. I should be posting this before the Avalanche have a chance to win the Cup. They're up 3-1 in the series, so let's see if they do it. Shout out to Nazem Kadri. But let's get right into this video. So could the Leafs let top UFAs walk? Now, some of this is coming from Chris Johnston, of course, and it's from TSN because that's part of where one of the places that he works at. And the first thing that they're talking about is their cap space. Now, whenever the $7.84 million is brought up as their cap space, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt because that's where the cap space starts. Now, keep in mind that's without them signing Jack Campbell, Ilya Mikheyev, Ondrej Kase. I'll keep going here. Colin Blackwell, Rasmus Sandin, Pierre Engvall, Timothy Liljegren, etc., etc. But that's not necessarily the number that the Leafs will probably be sitting at, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. Now, basically what Chris Johnston is talking about here is that the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't really had any talks with Campbell and Mikheyev. Now, there's some dialogue and talking about like maybe what a number could look like. Nothing crazy, but Mikheyev is looking to get between $4 to $5 million on the open market, and Campbell could even go north of that depending on where the goalie market goes on the 13th, because July 13th is when the NHL will open its free agency. So that's definitely coming up. What day is it? June 24th. So we're getting very, very close. There's going to be a lot of rumors coming out, lots of videos. So again, make sure to like and subscribe. But it feels like those numbers are very rich for both Mikheyev and Campbell. Now, to be real though, Campbell did post a 31-9-6 record with a .914 save percentage and a 2.64 goals against. But against the Tampa Bay Lightning, he had a .897 save percentage and a 3.15 goals against. Now, people were on me when I said that the Leafs needed goaltending out of that series, and I still stand by that point. While I don't believe Jack Campbell is to blame, and I still don't blame him, he is part of the blame. I'm not saying he's full of the full blame, but he's definitely part of it. If a goalie is giving you those numbers, and I know Andrei Vasilevsky gave his team those numbers, I don't care about the other team. I want the Toronto Maple Leafs to win, and they lost. And Jack Campbell was only good in certain games. He was going back and forth between being good and bad. Even when the Leafs were playing well, he was still giving up some pretty bad goals. So he needs to correct that, or the Leafs are not going to pay that much. But it looks like maybe there won't even be a chance to correct that because I don't think there's any dialogue. And what's been talked about here is there's no dialogue. But Mikheyev is looking to get 4 to 5, like I said. He's coming off a career best season in which he recorded 21 goals and 32 points. Now, a guy that wants $4 to $5 million after giving you 32 points, considering he also was an empty net specialist, and that's no diss to Ilya Mikheyev. It's just you kind of have to take some of these numbers with a grain of salt. And I'm not exactly thrilled if the Leafs are even entertaining that. They can go and sign Blackwell and Engvall and probably Kase for between $4 to $5 million combined. So I'm not really sure I would go that route. I would circle back and say, hey, Blackwell, what are you looking for? He was a really good bottom six piece. He was quick. He's a good hockey player. I think there's more to give there. Pierre Engvall showed a little bit more toughness. He was pretty good this year. I'd circle back to that. And if you're looking for more depth, you go to Ondrej Kase. But I would rather sign Blackwell and Engvall than get Mikheyev. And I know some people won't like that, but 32 points for $4 to $5 million we're starting to get a little ridiculous here. So I'm not looking forward to either of those contracts if the Toronto Maple Leafs try to keep them, which I don't believe they're going to try to keep Mikheyev. I think the guy that they might circle back to is Jack Campbell and see what he wants. Now, you have to remember, this guy's looking to get the paycheck that he hasn't been given so far in his career. His last salary was $1.65 million per year. And previous to that, he was on entry-level type deals. So you don't want to get this type of money. He's going to get $4 million plus. If he wants $4.5 million, I think the Leafs could consider it, but they still need another goaltender, which we'll get to in a second. But as you can see, his playoffs weren't very good this year. They were excellent last year, and his numbers have been pretty good. But I bring this up in every video that I make. This is a game-by-game chart, and I go by save percentage because I feel like this is the best way to look at it. But you could look at goals against, you could look at save percentage, whatever. But Jack Campbell had a really hot and cold season, and for a good amount of it, he wasn't very good. The beginning of the season, he was excellent. The first couple months, he looked like a Vezina caliber goaltender. Even here in December, he looked pretty good. But then you start to see the wheels start to fall off as we get into January. He was posting some pretty bad save percentages. And then in here in February, then in March, and in April, you can see there were some really bad games as well, but then he started to pick it up as the end of the season concluded. And then in the playoffs, good game, bad game, good game, bad game, good game, bad game, and then decent, pretty good game this was the, I believe, Game 7 game. Yeah, so it's tough. It's really tough because you're looking for better goaltending, but you're getting it sometimes from Jack Campbell. And, well, for a good portion of the season, you're getting good goaltending. But the problem is that the Leafs need consistency. And if they're not going to get that from Jack Campbell, then you have to consider maybe getting two goaltenders that are going to give you that consistency and are going to be cheaper combined. Because I know people are saying Shalgren's ready to be the backup full-time. The only way that Shalgren is the full-time backup next year is if you sign an expensive goaltender. If you miraculously get a guy like Kemper, or if you trade for a Gibson, or if you sign Campbell. That's the only way that you're going to have a guy like Shalgren as the backup. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do with Campbell, but we'll look at cap friendly in a little bit. Like I said, Ilya Mikheyev, guy was on a $1.65 million contract before, so he might get in the $3 to $4 million range, but I just don't think the Leafs should be paying that for a guy that has yet to break 40 points. And his playoff numbers are not exactly that great over 19 games, having 4 points. And when I bring that up, people are like, oh, he's a depth guy, whatever. Let's keep that same energy for Alex Kerfoot, because I know people love Mikheyev, but for some reason don't like Kerfoot. Kerfoot does a hell of a lot more than what Mikheyev's done. Kerfoot had that many points in one playoff series for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So keep that same energy. I'm just not wanting to sign a guy for that much money when he does almost nothing at all in terms of point production, when he's supposed to be a depth piece that can give you point production. But anyways, this is the cap-friendly page. They're projecting $7.8 million in cap space. I do agree Nick Abruzzese will be given at least a look, but when you're looking at this team, you're not keeping Clifford and Simmons. So Clifford's going to go to the minors, and you're probably going to be bringing up Nick Robertson. Now, LTIR, the reason why I use this for the videos is because it takes it off of, you gain more cap space when you put it there. So it's basically like making a trade. The Leafs are going to try everything in their power to trade Peter Mrazek, which would give them another $3.8 million. And I ultimately think that Justin Hall is probably the odd man out. So you have Riley, Brody, Muzzin, Giordano, which probably won't be the pairings, but I'm just showing you. You're going to keep Sandin and Liljegren. I mean, I know there's been rumors about Sandin, but you're going to keep both of them. And you need to find placeholders for these two spots. Now, the other option that everybody talks about is trading Alex Kerfoot. You could also do that, and it gives you $17 million to get 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and a goalie. Now, the goaltender could be simple. You could go to Jack Campbell, sign unrestricted free agent from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And there he is, Jack Campbell. And let's just say, I'm switching this number, guys. Don't worry. 4.5. Now, don't worry about the number of years. I'm just doing this just for the sake of doing it. So you could get Jack at 4.5, right? That gives you still $12 million to play with. Now, mind you, the Leafs should probably sign a guy like Colin Blackwell. Now, his last salary was under $1 million. You're probably giving this guy a bit of a raise at $1.1 million. Could he get more? Possibly, but this is just a prediction. I think that he's a good depth piece to have, and I wouldn't be against bringing him back. Then you need to consider some other guys here, RFAs. Again, we said we consider Engvall, but just for the sake of time, let's just sign Liljegren to 2.2, and let's just sign Rasmus Sandin to 2.2. I think that that's probably fair for how many games that they played, but you could easily do this or whatever. You can configure it the way you want. That still gives the Leafs $7 million to go out there and get 2 forwards. Like I said, you could re-sign Engvall. For the sake of the video, I guess we could just do it. His cap hit previously was 1.2. How many points this year? 38 points, so more than Mikheyev. So I'm wondering what he's looking for in the open market. So maybe I'm not going to make a prediction on that guy because it could cause a bit of a stir in the comments here. But as I'm just looking at this, the Leafs can definitely afford to, keep Sandin and Liljegren. You even might slide Sandin into that top 6. And let these two play together, or you could do this or move them all around. Whatever you want to do, you can move pieces around. This would get figured out, but I think this would be a good 6 to go into the offseason with, into the season with. And then again, you upgrade here wherever you want. You don't even have to sign Blackwell. You don't have to trade you don't even have to trade Kerfoot at this point. You can keep Kerfoot and you still have $3.6 million to make an upgrade. Now, what a lot of people also seem to forget with going into a season with a roster like this, you can make moves at the deadline. And I think that the Leafs should have a good team, save a little bit of money, and then go into the deadline and just go for a monster pickup. Don't shed all your assets right now unless you think you're going to get better for sure. If you can get better at the deadline, do it. That's when you go all in. But again, I'm just showing you guys that it's possible for them to keep some of these guys while also adding to the team. There is enough money. And you're going to have to pay to get rid of Mrazek, but to trade Kerfoot and Hall, it's positive trade value. If you think it's not positive trade value for Kerfoot and Hall, seriously, please reconsider looking at their numbers and looking what they've done. I don't say you're going to get an amazing package, but you're going to get something good in return. It's going to be positive trade value. So let me know what you guys think down below. If you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Join the squad. I do love and appreciate you guys as always, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.